The August 11th, 2022 City of Friendswood Planning and Zoning Commission regular meeting is now called to order. We will begin by receiving communication from the public. To comply with provisions of the Open Meetings Act, the commission may not deliberate on subjects discussed under this agenda item. However, the commission may direct such subjects be placed on a later regular commission agenda for discussion and or possible action. Please note that public comments will be limited to a maximum of 3 minutes per person. Would anybody like to have any comments at this time? We have comment cards in the back. I don't know if anybody filled one out, but anybody at this time? Okay. Seeing no one, next is our consent agenda. These items are considered routine or ministerial in nature and will be enacted with one motion. There will be no separate discussion of items unless a commissioner so requests, in which case the item will be removed from the consent agenda and considered separately. Is there a motion to approve the minutes of the Planning and Zoning Commission regular meeting held Thursday, July 14th, 2022, and the final plat of the Avalon at Friendswood Detention Pond?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor? Shows to be unanimous. Next on the agenda are our action items. According to the Planning and Zoning Rules of Procedure R 2021-18, all action of the commission shall be made by an affirmative vote of 4 or more members of the commission present at such commission meetings. Okay, our first action item is a request for a zone classification change to amend specific use permit SUP 98-7 for NAICS use 6111 elementary and secondary schools to allow classroom and parking additions for the Winsong Intermediate School located at 2100 West Parkwood Avenue, being 16.925 acres, also known as Lot 1, in the final plat of FISD Intermediate School Number 2, Galveston County, Texas. The public hearing to receive comments, both oral and written, regarding the proposed zone classification change is now open. Aubrey, is there a staff summary on this item?
Yes, sir. So this is part of FISD's bond projects. So this will be a 6 classroom addition to the existing school. They will be removing some mechanical equipment from the back of the building to allow for the addition. Also relocating the existing track, adding some detention area, and rerouting traffic. It looks like more of the traffic is actually going to be located like on the property instead of out on 528, which would be a good thing. And then adding 43 parking spaces and also a sidewalk along Winsong Lane.
Okay, thank you. Is the applicant here or representatives of the applicant, and if they would like to have make any comments for our discussion? Or during the public comment
No,
period?
I'll just say we're excited to.
For the record, no, you did great. But for the record, could you tell us your name, please?
Sure. I'm Melissa Turnbaugh. I'm a partner at PBK, so we're the architects of record.
I'm Blanca Soto, also with PBK Architects.
Great.
So we're excited to be here, and yet another exciting project for the school district. This one, our big task was not only providing enough space for the new kids that are coming, but also, as Aubrey mentioned, to get a lot of the parents stacking off of 528 and add additional parking. So we actually have exceeded even what the traffic impact analysis had originally said, just to do our due diligence for safety.
Okay, thank you very much. Anything else?
No.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks. Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone from the public that would like to speak for making this change, these changes? Is there anyone from the public that would like to speak against making these changes? Seeing no one, the public hearing for this topic is now closed. The commission will now consider making a recommendation on the requested zone classification change. Is there a motion?
Motion to approve.
Who seconded it? Sorry. Oh, thank you. Okay, Commissioner Mann.
The only question I had was, there's that detention pond that's going in. Is that replacing? Because there isn't a detention pond there now, correct?
I don't think there is a detention pond. The detention requirements when that school was originally built might have been different.
Yeah, come on up, please.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's a detention pond towards the back of the site, and you can see it in the north. And then we're just adding additional that's required for the additional stacking and parking.
Oh, it's way.
So it's
back
tying
there. I see
into
it.
it.
But- and now there's going to be an additional one moved forward.
Correct, that will be
they're
tying-
not connected, correct?
It will be tying into the existing.
Oh, it will be. Okay, awesome, awesome. And thank you so much. I think the traffic, that's going to be great. It's much needed.
Right.
That's it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Rives. Okay. Go to Commissioner Bounds. Commissioner Sassen.
Yeah, I'm very positive on it. I like pretty much all the changes. It looks really good. I'm excited about. My issue on it was trees, and I see that you're exceeding the requirement number of trees, and you're putting in live oaks, which is consistent with how Friendswood likes to look, and I was very pleased by that. The only question I had is, and maybe this is for you, Aubrey, as much as for anyone. I noticed we're taking down a lot of 20 to 24-inch elm trees, and everything's being replaced with 4-inch live oaks. Are we consistent on? I guess this is not subject to the tree ordinance, is it? I mean, this is single-family residential, so it's not subject to that. Although,
Well, the use is commercial though, so they should be, Becky reviewed the mitigation more, so I'll let her address that.
damn it. Sorry.
Yes, sir.
Good
I
one, Linda.
reviewed the landscape plan in detail, and they are accounting one for one for everything they're taking out and they're putting in. So
Right, they're putting in more than they're taking out, actually.
Yes.
I noticed that, but the size of the trees, that was, some of them are pretty large that they're taking out. Some of these, like I said, 24-inch elms and such like that. And I thought our ordinance required multiple trees. Now, maybe they have enough trees to do it because they're putting in quite a few.
it's a caliper calculation. So
Okay,
they,
and you did that, and it's
yes,
all.
they
it's
are
all good.
compliant.
Okay, thank you, yeah. And I'm glad to see getting rid of ashes and replacing ashes with live oaks is a good thing. The sidewalk is a good thing. There's just a lot of things that are gonna be positive out of this, so I'm very supportive.
Okay. Commissioner Hinckley.
I greatly appreciate the consideration to get traffic off of the main road there, so that'd be my only comment.
Okay. I echo everything that's been said. I think it's a great project, well deserved. I think it'll actually help a lot. I had a couple of just minor questions, just so that I understood in going through it. The detention pond that you're building, not the one that's there, is it truly going to be detention where it's actually going to drain? It's not going to have standing water. It's going to actually drain unless it's raining. Is that correct?
Dry pond.
Is it going to be dry after the rain is there and it goes away?
Yeah, it's a dry bottom pond.
Yes.
But also we're taking this opportunity for education as well as detention. And so it will have some prairie grasses. It'll have kind of a walking path for the kids through it. So it's educational, it's native seeds and things like that, which typically ends up holding more water than manicured lawns and things like that. So trying to do our due diligence, not only from the flood mitigation, but also educationally. So kind of serving two purposes.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Is that, I didn't see it on the drawings, but I may have missed it. Is there fencing around the new detention pond? I know the site has fencing. Do you happen to know what the depth is going to be?
It's fairly shallow.
Oh, okay.
Shallow.
Yeah, I think it's like less than a foot
Oh.
deep overall. I mean, it's because the span of it is so large, and because our classroom edition isn't. It's, I think, yeah, it's a slope taper on the sides, and it's fairly shallow.
Okay.
It might be 18 inches max, but it's something where we didn't feel it would be a safety concern even if filled for small children, since they're going to be on the site.
Okay. Thank you very much.
good thought.
I think that's all my questions directly to you.
Okay.
I did want to just take a second for the record. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. For the record, and say that since we're changing this special use permit, it requires a readoption and approval of the special use permit. There are 8 requirements that all of those requirements have to still be met to grant this special use permit. And so I won't go through all 8 of them in the essence of time, but they're in our ordinances, and I've looked through them all, and I'm confident that this change continues to exceed those requirements, and in some cases, like getting the traffic off of 528, enhances some of the requirements for a special use permit. So well done. Thank you very much. Okay. If there's any other, no other comments, we have a motion in the second. All in favor? Shows to be unanimous. All right. Okay, our next action item is a zone classification change request to change from a single-family residential to a community shopping center for 5.7092 acres of land, being a part of the International and Great Northern Railroad Company Survey Number 23, Abstract 624, Galveston County, Texas. The public hearing to receive comments, both oral and written, regarding the proposed zone classification change is now open. Aubrey, is there a staff summary?
Yes, sir. This one is a tract of about 5.7 acres. It has frontage on both West Parkwood Avenue and Mandel Road. And they are requesting to change it from the single-family residential to commercial, which is in line with our plan and our future land use map. We identified that in our 2021 update for this tract to all be commercial. So it's exciting to get some, potentially get some more commercial acreage to put towards our percentages.
No, great. Is the applicant here or representative of the applicant, if they'd like to say anything during the public comment period?
Sure. Scott Sheridan with Daniel Scott Engineering. So we're representing the applicant, and that's the Beau Fossil Estate. And they're just wanting to be in compliance with the Friendswood's land plan, and obviously make it more marketable.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Any
We may
questions?
have some questions for you. We may not, but
Want me
we'll
to
see.
stay here?
No. Go ahead and sit down. We'll call you back up. But thank you. Okay. Is there anyone from the public that would like to speak for making this change? Is there anyone from the public that would like to speak against making this change? Okay, seeing no one, the public hearing for this topic is now closed. The commission will now consider making a recommendation on the requested zone classification change. Is there a motion?
Second.
Okay. Okay. Commissioner Rives, any comments or questions?
No, I think it's right in line with everything the city wants, just like you said, fitting into the future plan.
Commissioner Hinckley.
Same here. It meets the plan where we wanted the direction to go, so I have no concerns.
Commissioner Mann.
I know we spent a lot of time on the future land use map. This was one of the parts that was different than what it currently is. And this achieves multiple goals. It's in line with the city, the future of the city, and it's the best thing we can do for that area. That's it. So.
Commissioner Sasson.
Yeah, I'm in line with pretty much everybody else that this is consistent with where we want this to go, and it does fit everything else. I see the property is a little bit challenged with the utilities on one side of it and Dickinson Bayou on the other, so it'll be interesting to see how that actually develops. But that's someone else's challenge, not mine. And so we'll see. But it does have a natural buffer on each side, which you should alleviate some of the concerns of anyone who's worried about having something right next to them. So that's all I had.
Commissioner Bounds.
I agree wholeheartedly with what everybody said, so.
Yeah, I as well have nothing additional to add. I think it makes perfect sense. Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor? Shows to be unanimous. Okay, our next action item is a subdivision variance request to reduce the required minimum block length for narrow trail, being a variance to Appendix B, subdivision ordinance, section 6K2A. Aubrey, is there a staff summary?
We held the public hearing for this item in July, but the applicant wasn't quite ready for consideration of the item, so we postpone that. So this is just the follow-up and action item for the request. And I'm sure you looked at the back material, but just with the paralleling of the streets in that section,
Yep.
the layout of the creek and the lots, it's kind of a unique situation where those streets meet. And so it'll just be the variance in that one intersection. and it's from the minimum 300-foot block length.
Okay. Is the applicant here? Would they like to make any comments? If you could step forward and tell us your name, please.
Sure. Onwin with LJ Engineering. I'm just here if you guys have any questions.
Okay.
The reason why we weren't ready previous meeting was because we were waiting on Denbury to sign the application.
I see. Okay. Thank you.
Sure.
You might want to just hang out for a second.
Sure.
Since I hate to call you back up. Okay. Is there a motion? We can, if that's, well, you can make, you have so made the motion already. But you can amend that if you want. Up to you. Well, we're going to definitely talk about it once, either approve or discussion. We will discuss it. It's up to you. You.
Discussion.
Okay. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. Commissioner Rice, you said you had some questions.
I have a few questions, and I don't know if it's so much for you or for Aubrey. The block 1 symbol up there, the one with the circle, is that a lot also, like a residential lot? What is that for?
It'll be a residential lot. However, there has been some discussion with Denbury, and they no longer want to plat the tracts that belongs to them. So now lot 1 also includes that little sliver of 20 feet that belongs to D.R. Horton. So instead of it being Reserve A and lot 1, it'll be lot 1.
Okay.
And it'll be residential use.
I mean, this section that we're on is just about the variance request
Correct.
for the 300-foot block length.
Right.
And we're gonna come back at this item again in more detail, but if you're heading somewhere.
Well, I am.
Okay, perfect.
What is, let's see, what's the name of this?
Narrow trail, Narrows
Friendswood
Trail.
Trails, right?
Oh, the subdivision?
Isn't that Friendswood Trail Road?
The road that's on the left side.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that's block 1 primarily, right?
Correct.
Is that tract that I just asked about, is that part of the same block? Because it doesn't read like it to me.
It's addressed off of Friendswood Trail, or that's the intent.
Okay, because you already have a lot 1 across from that.
Lot 1, but a different block.
So which block is that? 'Cause I was under the impression
so-
that was block 1.
Hold on, I got the plat.
And while she's looking, what I'm getting at is if there were no residential lots in block 1, I feel like that would be a different conversation.
So that is lot 1, block 1. That
Yes.
circle is the block number, not
Correct.
the lot number.
So look down to the left. What block is that?
So that is block 3.
Okay,
You just
I
can't
had it
see
as
the
block
block
1.
numbers on the blow up.
okay.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I thought I'd seen block 1 on that.
Yeah, these are 3 different blocks, and lot 1 is at the top of each one.
And so lot 1, or block 1 only consists of 1 residential lot.
Correct.
Okay. So that was that was really my main question.
Anything else? Commissioner Hinckley?
I did not get to do my research, and Aubrey, maybe you can answer this, but what was the purpose originally of a 300-foot lot?
We looked into that recently just because this is the second request that we've had for a variance to our 300-foot minimum block length this year. And we researched benchmarked other cities, and some cities don't have a minimum. Some have 250, some have, 200, some have 400, whereas ours is 300. So we couldn't really find any definite, definitions or requirements on a minimum block length. And I hate to say ours has just always been that way, but it's just always been that way.
What we did find, I think, was that in commercial areas, it makes a lot of sense at times to having traffic flow patterns, they have too many people coming onto, like 518 is just an example, that if the block lengths are too short, you have too many people coming in and out for traffic flow. But on residential, we couldn't find any real reason to, I never found any real good backup for, now I found good backup for why there's a too long. You don't want it to be too long. You don't want to create this little racing drag strip.
Yeah.
But for too short, especially when you're talking about the speeds on something like a neighborhood, it just didn't seem to matter much. Didn't seem to be a requirement that we needed.
Okay. I just
But-
wanted to understand that before I'd make a decision.
The only, I guess, concern I guess you might have, like fire trucks and school buses, turning around might cause an issue, but with the two streets paralleling each other and providing that turnaround, I don't think it would be an issue in this particular situation.
Okay, and I'm confident I know the answer to this, but agreeing to reduce the block length is not affecting lot sizes, right?
Right.
Okay, I'm good.
Anybody else have anything else? Commissioner Bounds?
Yes, sir. I'm just wondering why that one residential lot, the road could not actually encroach on that. And of course, they would lose a lot out of it, but it could still be lengthened to make the 300 feet.
So on the PUD calls for the lot to be there. And so unfortunately, LJ wasn't the land planner on this, and therefore the design was made to match the PUD.
Plan unit development?
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
just double check.
Yes, sir. Okay.
Commissioner Mann?
No questions.
Commissioner Sassen?
No,
On
I kind of feel like we've been over this a couple of times already, and so I'm good.
I have one more though.
Oh,
Yes,
absolutely.
please.
Aubrey, in the DRC for this, did the fire department sign off on it?
They have reviewed the plat and they have approved the preliminary plat is the next item, and they have approved that as far as staff review.
Okay. So we had a motion to discuss. We've done that. Any further motions? Do we do need, wait, let me just, looking at Karen, is there anything we need to do to close out a discussion? Okay. Any further motions?
Motion to approve?
Second?
Okay, anything else from anybody before we move on? We have a motion to approve in a second. All in favor? Shows to be unanimous. Motion passes. Okay, our next action item is to consider the approval of a partial preliminary plat of Friendswood Trails, Section 3A and 4A, a subdivision of 30.433 acres of land containing 46 lots and 10 reserves in 5 blocks situated in the William Henry Survey, Abstract 84, and the Mary Sloan Survey, Abstract 184, also being a partial replat of Reserve T of Friendswood Trails, Sections 1, 2, and Commercial, recorded in document number 2019-069-867, Friendswood, Texas, Galveston County. Aubrey, is there anything, staff summary for this?
I think y'all have seen this multiple times. One thing that did change with this, it was basically they redesigned it a little bit. I think On kind of alluded to it a little bit before that Denbury, the previous version that you saw had all of the Denbury tracts in restricted reserves for future single-family residential lots. Those 4 pocket areas have been taken out of the plat now. So they're just unplatted sections within the plat. So whenever Denbury gets those wells cleaned up and they come into plat later, that will be 4 separate plats. Each one would be an addition to the subdivision rather than being able to replat everything at one time. Plats have to be contiguous. The land in them has to be contiguous, and so that's why they would have to do 4 separate plats to do additions to the subdivision.
Okay. do you have any comments that you'd like to make prior to our discussion on this?
I do not.
Okay, thank you. But I'd stay up there if I was, I think we might have a question or two. Okay, boy, I can't even read my own writing. Mr. Sasson, we did have a motion, no, we didn't.
We haven't had a
No,
motion.
yeah, thank you very much. Thanks for keeping me straight. Is there a motion?
Motion to approve?
Mr. Sasson, any questions?
So yeah, as you say, Aubrey, we've been through this a few times and kind of looked it over. I feel pretty good about it. One of the items that was holding us up before was the secondary access and the agreement from Pearland. Did that come through?
No, not formally, and I can explain that a little bit. When we were doing this planned unit development back in 2017, basically the paralleling of the roads meets the 2 points of access for ingress and egress. There was still concern that both of those roadways are on the other side of the creek. And so the point was just made that it's not like there's a wall at the city limits. If there was, for some, crazy, if there was some catastrophic event, like a fire or a flood or something, it's not like people couldn't escape the property. It's flat oil fields on the other side of the property. And so that was the point of even putting that on the PUD, was that people are not going to be trapped in a wall. So they tried to get some easement or, some point of access over there. But like I said, those are all private, like oil field roads. She can probably elaborate on that more.
Yes, we did some research after May's meeting, I believe, or June. And so I found out that Denbury owns the tracks directly west of where the proposed access is going to be, the emergency access. And since that meeting, it's been a challenge to have them communicate with us whether or not they want to. And also we found out that all the tracks that Denbury owns all the way out to Highway 35 is all private. So it's not maintained by the public, where it's the county or the city. So therefore, that's what they came back with. And that's when I got with Becky and said, hey, this is what we're facing.
So just to summarize, so I got it straight in my head. The two roads go out to a common road, and so they really still, if there was a catastrophic issue there, they couldn't get out that way, but they could turn the other way, go across country on the dirt roads and escape, as you said.
If both, the purpose of the boulevard and the parallel roads was if one is blocked off, you still have the other one.
But if the boulevard's
But
blocked
if
off,
all of it is blocked off,
just that, well, one single point, I always look at single point failures. And so a single point failure on the boulevard would block everyone in from getting out on a paved road, is what I understand, is how I picture it. If there was a huge fire or something like.
well, with the boulevarded road, you've got 4 lanes. So, and it has to be a boulevarded access across the bridge. So ideally, you might have 2 lanes blocked off, but you still have 2 available.
It was divided 4-lane, you're right.
Yes. Yeah. So that's the intent, is that, if one is blocked, you still have the other.
And because that's a boulevard that meets all the standards. And so
Yes.
if God forbid you guys went bankrupt and we ended up with this was all the access we ever had, it still meets all the codes and requirements that we have.
Yes.
We need. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. That's the only thing I had.
Okay. Commissioner Rives? Commissioner Hinckley, anything?
I appreciate your time and appearance, so.
Thank you.
Commissioner Mann?
No questions.
Commissioner Bounds?
My only question is, if it's private roads behind it, what's to keep someone from blocking those roads? Nothing, right? So there is only one point. Okay, not that I'm objecting, I just want to make sure.
No problem. We also looked at aerial views as well. It's just an unimproved drive that's straight out to Highway 35. So if Denbury ever decide to develop their lot, I'm pretty sure Brazoria County or I think Pearland might have them to improve that or whatnot.
Anything else? I got just a couple clarification questions. So there are 4 street, on the plat, that preliminary plat that we're looking at, there are 4 street connections on it. I think you'd probably know it really well. But as of right now, only one of them is being connected, and that's to, crossing that little ditch or creek or whatever that is.
Correct.
Okay, so, so when this phase is done, they will have that one connection, and then the other 3 connections will just be ready for future development.
I believe so. I haven't taken a look at 4B, 5A yet, along with 5, the more northeastern of this. So I believe that's what the intent is on the PUD.
Okay. Well, I just looked back again at the plan unit development and showed kind of these streets continuing to further sections, if they ever get built. We assume they will, but if, okay. Okay, so I think we hit that. My next question was about the road, but I think we put that one, at least asked all the right questions. Okay, the agenda form that we received states that Denbury Onshore LLC retains ownership of 4 out parcels impacted by abandoned oil wells. Once the oil wells have been cleaned and released to D.R. Horton, the version of the plat presented before platted the 4 out. Okay, they just stop there. So is there anything that says that Denbury is required to clean up those wells on their property that are next to these homes?
I haven't seen anything. I've taken a look at their agreement as well between D.R. Horton and Denbury, and their agreement was just strictly to give D.R. Horton permission to plat the lots around, and of course the right of way that's going through their property.
But there's no time again, just asking your knowledge.
Sure.
To the best of your knowledge, there's no timing requirement that Denbury could do.
Correct.
Could finish these wells a year from now, 10 years from now, or next month.
Not that I know of.
Whenever.
And I think that's all the questions I have for
Sure.
you. So thank you very much for coming up and answering
Thank you.
those. I'm just going to state it that, and you can sit down, please, that, I have no technical reason that I could come up with in meeting our requirements to not approve this preliminary plat. For the record, say that this has concerned me since it's come before the commission, weeks and months ago, that how this is being checkerboarded, that somebody could have a home and build their home, have their family there, and next door be a well that's not being used right now. But who knows if Denbury's going to sell this property? It doesn't sound like there's any requirements for them to clean up these. If this could go on like this for a long time. I'm concerned about future homeowners, but it's not future homeowners being surprised that there's a workover rig next door all of a sudden coming down the street or and being next door to their property. That's a concern to me. This is not the way I would have thought a company like D.R. Horton would have done this. I'm only assuming that there's no other way to get this done. But with that said, there is no technical reason that to stop this preliminary plat, from my perspective, to be approved. I'm just not comfortable with how this could work out where temporary becomes permanent. And I'm just concerned about these homeowners that could be out there. That's all. So with that statement, that's all I had. We have a motion and a second. All in favor? Shows to be unanimous. Next on our agenda is communications, and we will start with a report from the Ordinance Subcommittee regarding progress on the 2022 action items that were developed as a result of the annual retreat that was held December 2nd, 2021. Becky, I think you're going to start that off. Is that right?
Yes, sir. So at the end of each year, the commission has a retreat, and part of that retreat is to talk about the goals for the year and goals for the upcoming year. So at our last retreat, it was mentioned that maybe we should check in periodically throughout the year just to make sure we're on track. So that's what this is. Mr. Tom is going to give an update on what the Ordinance Subcommittee has accomplished this year.
Yeah, so I think we've made some pretty good progress on a few issues. Just a quick summary on a few of them. We're currently working on ordinance update regarding signs and lighting. And that's currently in Aubrey's hands right now, I believe. Plan unit developments. We looked at that. Evaluate and recommend if changes are needed to include sunset clauses for PUDs, i.e. if the project utilizing the PUD is not completed by a certain date, it expires. And we did add a 2-year expiration to that. That one is completed. Next, evaluate and recommend if changes are needed to the allowable percentage of changes included in approved PUDs. We decreased the percent from 25 to 10% without requiring city council approval. And that was based off of historical records in comparison to other cities. So, next was evaluate if any PUD requirements that have been removed from the zoning ordinances should be added back. We did not find any, and did add criteria for approval. So all 3 of those are completed. We've looked at the subdivision ordinance update. Made a few changes there. We also were looking at park dedication requirements. Currently, no land is required for dedication unless you have 655 lots or more. Communication with the Parks Department found that not to be, it's not something they're willing to pursue. So, garden home districts, consider adding open space requirements and other amenity requirements. We did make a few changes to the garden home district to make them more like a true garden home by definition, including 0 lot lines and such. Next, single-family residential lot minimum width. Evaluate the minimum single-family residential lot size requirements and develop a recommendation for city council. So that's in discussion. So, but the other point to make is that we do have our annual retreat where we come up with action items, but that doesn't mean we cannot address other issues throughout the year that come through council or otherwise. So.
You guys have done a great job. It's a lot of work. I don't think many of the citizens of Friendswood really realize how much work that takes going through all those and, again, trying to make everything better.
Well, it's easy when you have Richard on the team.
Oh. Okay. Well, no, thank you for that update.
Can I just say something?
Yes.
The ones that say completed on there, those are completed by us. They've also gone through city council. You guys may not remember, but we gave you a flurry of changes several months ago, and those all reflect those. So the city council's had a chance to look at all of those, and actually I think they supported every one of them. And so completed means actually implemented and changed into the code of the city.
Thank you, Richard.
Oh, good work. Yeah. Good. Okay. Any questions by anybody else on that? Okay. Next, we will announce the next 2 Planning and Zoning Commission meeting dates that they have been scheduled for Thursday, August 25th, 2022, and Thursday, September 8th, 2022. We'll continue our communications with any updates or comments from our commissioners. Commissioner Bounds?
I will be out of the country for the August 25th meeting, but otherwise, no.
Commissioner Sassen?
I've got to go to a couple of drainage district meetings. They're always interesting. I won't go through all the different approvals of paying different people different amounts of money to get different bits of work done, but they're very busy over there. The one thing I thought that was really interesting, they did a survey of the different creeks in the area, and it turns out Clear Creek is the cleanest creek in the area. I don't know if that's a high bar, but it's just that we're better than the other ones, which is a good sign. Yeah, well, they have less biological activity, and they said the biological activity is almost solely from dog feces. So pick up your dog poop, and it'll make it even better. I thought it would be from fertilizer or other things, but I thought that was interesting. People walking dogs, and that has been the major contaminant in Clear Creek. But it's nice to know that our creek is cleaner than the adjacent creeks, for whatever that's worth. That's all I have.
Okay, good, thank you. Commissioner Mann?
I Just want to echo to pick up your dog's feces. No, I have nothing else to add.
Commissioner Hinckley.
So August is my month for the Galveston County Drainage District, but the first meeting of the month was canceled, so no update there. Yeah, I will get up with Becky and Richard to try to get us a subcommittee meeting here in the near future.
Commissioner Ross.
Nothing to add to any of that.
No, I have nothing as well. Councilmember Hanks, we have, City Council is well represented this
I
evening.
know, you guys are popular. Very important committee. So we had a meeting since y'all last met, and I took some notes to kind of highlight a few things that we went over. There were a few really important things, and there were a lot of less important, but still important things. So we heard a report, the annual report from our Community and Economic Development Council. Actually, they presented it in writing, and we reviewed that. They completed a strategic plan, updating their plans, much like you guys are with your ordinances. We heard a report on the capital improvements, and we're making great strides there. Fire Station number 2, and also the public safety building additions. Steel should be going up soon. I haven't driven by there this week. I told several of you I'm literally about 3 hours off of grandparents' cousins camp week. So I've had 4 grandkids all week, and I'm hoping I can make complete sentences tonight. But anyway, those 2 buildings are really good to go, and the Black Hawk facility, the plans are being issued and should go out for bid soon. Had made good progress on streets. Our concrete streets have been completed. We have some asphalt streets being started last month for Murphy, Garden, Sedora, and Cowards Creek. Black Hawk Boulevard, we are going in with Harris County, and they're doing a match with us. So Black Hawk will continue to be rebuilt from Geneva to 2351. August 29th at 5:30, we'll have a public hearing on our budget, and that dominated much of our meeting Monday night. And the staff always does a fantastic job of trying to get this huge budget understandable, and they let us know what this staff cooperatively have decided to bring forward as decision packages, and that means things they want to be funded that haven't been in previous budgets, or things that they requested that didn't make the cut. And we had some discussion about that, which of course is our role. And then on September 12th, we will have, at 6 o'clock, we'll have the meeting to adopt a tax rate. Several years ago, the state changed the rules on budgets and taxes in an effort to be more transparent, but for someone who was in the old system and the new system, I don't think it's any more transparent. So now, before you adopt your budget, you have to identify a proposed tax rate to publish in the newspaper before you even vote on what your actual budget is. Because it makes sense that you'd have a tax rate that would support your budget, right? But that's not necessarily the case. So we propose a budget first. We propose a tax rate, and then we have a budget approval, and then we actually adopt a tax rate. And if I'm not mistaken, I think we would have to repost if we changed that original posting, I think is the case. But our, Karen could correct me if I'm wrong there. So anyway, the published tax rate proposal is the same that it is this year. So we were happy about that. That doesn't necessarily mean it'll end up that way, but that was what is getting published. We also had a little discussion from our city manager about the Stevenson Park parking lot. You probably all heard that our Keep Friendswood Beautiful received a grant, and they're going to put a sign in front of where the old fire station was. That's their proposal, their plan. And so some discussion then ensued about how to beautify that area. And so they went to the FDEDC, who voted to give them some money for a study, since it is part of downtown, and the city council approved that. And so that is underway, and our city manager announced to us that there will be 3 public meetings beginning in September and an online survey to hear from the public on what they'd like to see at that location. We have rescheduled our council meeting to September 12th because of Labor Day. We also did something fun. We renamed Skyview Terrace, not for addresses or anything else, but as a memorial lane for Joycina Day Baker. Sally was very instrumental in that, and council approved it. We also renamed Hatcher Lane to Parkside Lane, and we approved the contract for the TxDOT Rose Sidewalk project, and we have new liaison assignments. And I think the liaison is, the backup is Sally, but I think Robert thought it was, right? And so I thought it was too initially.
We thought so too, Robert, so hey, we are glad you're here.
We thought we were switching, but what we voted on actually was in the backup, it has Sally's name as the backup, but you know, they're all great, so you know, it doesn't matter who comes.
We just need a lot more supervision, obviously.
It takes 3 of us
Yeah,
to
so
really
that's what I
decide to
gathered
keep going
from
line there. But anyway, that's we also are going to have we're going to have the Labor Day ice cream social still.
Oh,
So you want to tell them, is it actually Labor Day or Sunday? Labor Day.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Where will that be?
Yeah.
Oh, like last time?
So it'll be Labor Day. We're going to bump it to 5 o'clock. We started at 3, but it is still so hot. So 5 to 7 at the Perry Home, which is right over there behind Friends Church. We'd love for y'all to come. It's all free to the public. Ice cream and
Oh, it's moved.
lemonade and a little bit of live music. So, sir,
It's moved. Last year it was the other side.
we've gone back and forth. Perry Home is actually more conducive because of the shade trees. But last year we went back to the Brown Museum because we had the dedication of the mural. So, but we're going to go back to Perry, and it'll stay at Perry because there's just a lot more grass and shade. So anyway, y'all come.
Great, thank you, thanks for the update.
One clarifying thing, I think I heard that you guys passed something that's near and dear to many of our hearts up here. There was for those of you who've been on this for a while, remember there was a sidewalk fund that we voted to dissolve and allow sidewalks to be put in about 10 different places, but the sidewalk fund wasn't sufficient to pay for those sidewalks. And so if I understand correctly, one of the things that you passed in the last meeting was supplemental funds to allow those to be completed. And so those sidewalks that we expect, and tell me if I'm wrong, Aubrey, I think I'm summarizing this correctly. The sidewalks that we approved to get done, we were kind of hoping that would get done almost a year ago, had been kind of stuck because of this, but now they are unstuck, and we should see some more sidewalks along 518 down near Masasushi, and there was some down 528 that were all set up to go but never put in just because of a logistical barrier. And thank you to City Council for passing that and letting that go through. And more sidewalks are a good thing as far as I'm concerned.
Thanks,
All right.
And just a minute, just before they leave,
Councilmember
I just want to
Griffin.
mention, I do not know if I'm on the seniors liaison now. I may be, but the mayor's going to be gone on August the 18th, and August the 18th is World Senior Citizens Day, and I will be there, and it is a challenge. Okay, it's a challenge to all the council members in a game of chair volleyball. So I will be there.
Oh, wow.
Trish will be there, and if y'all want to come out for chair volleyball for World Senior Citizen Day on August the 18th, come on over to the activity center. We're going to have a ball.
I'm coming out with my camera.
Be there 11:30. We're going to have a lot of fun.
Thank-
Noon to 2.
I have really weak arms. I don't know why I said I would do that.
No, those are all good, thank y'all. Aubrey, anything?
Just the July 2022 DRC report was in your backup material. And then I also do want to remind everybody that the APA conference is in October 19th through the 22nd. Actually, maybe just the 20th to 22nd, Thursday and Friday. They do have the planning commissioners track. If you are interested in attending that, it's in El Paso. And we will pay your registration and all your travel. So if you want to do that, let me know.
I have found those to be very, very helpful meetings to go to. To be honest, the last one, because of COVID, was kind of marginal. but everyone before that has been fantastic. So you know, 1 point doesn't make a line, but we have one more bad one. We'll have to rethink it. But I based on past history, I'd say these are very, very good things to attend. And especially with the commissioner track, it's a lot of things that we deal with up here, information. Okay, Becky, anything? No. Karen, anything from you? Okay, with that, the August 11th, 2022 Planning and Zoning regular meeting is now adjourned.